Ladies and gentlemen, we've almost witnessed history right then and there. One of the underdogs had the potential to take it away and close up to these top three that we've been consistently mentioning. And it's the Dominican Republic, but they fell short in the end to Uruguay with a massive nay. Joaco proving us wrong when it comes to potentially coming back. I didn't expect it. I'm not sure you did, but Uruguay is on the map as well now. There are a couple of other teams now, as well as the Dominican Republic, with the chances to close up. Maybe Ecuador is going to be one of them if they have another big round like this.
Yeah. We talked about it at the start of the day. The battle for first is crazy. The battle for second is super possible. And Uruguay making a big move there. Ecuador as well making a big move for themselves. And they're going to see right now, looking at the scoreboard after the game, they're going to be like, wow, we're pretty close actually. This is kind of crazy, you know? Like, it didn't feel like that after day one, but the scoreboard is still bunched up enough and it's still close enough that you can do anything if you have a good day. And that was a really good start to the day for Uruguay. It's a bit of a different start to the day every time when you start on Sanok, right? It's a different map than all the other two. So they have to somehow transfer that momentum to the other maps, which is not an easy task. But for when we talk about a team that goes out really early, I think Colombia, for example, right? Disaster of a game. And then you have a team like Uruguay. We're in a way worse position than Colombia to start this day off. Now, they've not only passed them on the scoreboard, but they've also have a completely different mindset and mental attitude towards the rest of the day. It's starting to become very, very possible, I think.
Yeah, teams just are not allowed to choke at this point. Even if you think you're qualified, like probably Brazil has, maybe not out of the last day, but at least in the midst of the last day. They probably were like, yeah, we're qualified already. We've got enough points on the board to just roll this out. Yeah. We know how this lobby feels now. We know that we can get consistent placement. And then, kind of this break happened. And other teams were able to step up, Argentina especially. And they realized, I think, at the very latest after this day had finished, that, wait, we actually got to perform. And I think as soon as that realization set in, I think they realized they got to play different as well. I think that's what we saw in this very first game. Now, I know I said it. I know they choked this game. They should have grouped up earlier, I think. And I'm not one to backseat game and put it out like this. But I think in this one, it's been quite obvious what the mistake was. And I think also that this might not be an indication that this will never work and that they're going to change their play style. I actually think it's quite the opposite. I think that's the correct way to play it. If you're a team like Brazil and you have the options to take that much space and the individual strength as well. So if they just keep on trying it, I think it's going to work eventually, if not in the next game already. And that's going to be my prediction as well. I think Brazil, with this type of play, they're going to step it up. I think it's going to get dangerous for other teams. And I think them not grouping earlier is not going to happen again.
I think it's a tricky question always, right? When something doesn't go right, that doesn't mean the strat is necessarily wrong. But I would rather see them be too greedy than to see them be too scared and too quiet, right? Because they have the individual skill to do crazy things, even in 1 versus 2s, 1 versus 3s, 2 versus 4s, all that kind of stuff. So rather play too greedy when you're better than the lobby than play too scared and too simple. I think it's not a bad sign. It's not the worst thing in the world. How they will, what lessons they will draw from this game is up to them, and we'll have to just check out whatever they do on ERANGEL, where they have 3 chances to cement their standings. They've now separated themselves a tiny bit from Argentina, but there's a lot of hungry sharks in the water just right behind them, right? So they either gotta keep swimming or they're gonna drown. And I think we all expect Argentina to stay afloat or Brazil to stay afloat and keep swimming, but the other teams aren't sleeping either.
No, I don't think so. I think these teams are ready for it. We saw the Dominican Republic coming back now with another good game. It's it's in the cards for them to potentially maybe even get into the top 2. I know Brazil has had some points to the last game as well. I know Argentina really hasn't, so it's somewhere around the 68 mark. But it's only been like 12, maybe 13 points difference between Dominican Republic and Brazil. And that's not even accounting for Argentina. Yeah. Right, Argentina with a good game would automatically be overtaken, unless obviously they have a big game as well, which by the looks of it is not the start that they're doing right now. So, man, I'm excited to see it. I want to see the Dominican Republic come back. I said that was one of the teams that I I expect to be in contention with these top 2 at the very beginning of the tournament, so start last day. And they're slowly but surely making sure that this prediction is coming true. It didn't look like that in the first 3 games, gotta be honest. Dominican Republic did... they looked weak. I'm just putting it out like this. I want to be straight today. I want to give it to you guys straight. And yeah, this has changed now. I think they're looking dangerous. I think they're looking more grouped up as well. They're not losing players unnecessarily, which they have before. And they're closing out fights consistently without losing a player. And that's the biggest part in this one. Because look how many isolated fights we actually have. There's very rarely any third-party action going on. Almost never. Because there's just not enough team on your edge.
Yeah. It depends a little bit. Obviously, sometimes you get a little bit unlucky, but I like what you're saying there, and I do have to agree. They look way cleaner, and they look not crazy aggressive, not crazy proactive, but they look decisive when they do things, and they did a lot of things really well that game, all the way until the end. Not everything they did was perfect, but towards the end, they played a lot of really good PUBG, and they made a lot of really good decisions. Is it going to be enough to past the fancy top dogs that are seemingly on another level? We'll see. But they are putting themselves in a spot where they have a chance now, at least.
Will they be able to grab a hold of that top 2? This is what we're going to figure out. This is match number 2 of the day. Of the very last day as well, here at the IESF World Esports Championship qualifiers for the America region. It's not really been decisive yet, but we had the top teams perform. I want to give it up for Chile, especially right now. These guys look qualified, even though their last game was a little bit lackluster. It was probably the worst game they've had up until this point, right? It must have been, with a point average of 16. You can't really afford a bad game, and I don't think that's happened either.
That's the crazier thing as well. They had a 3-point game to start the day, right? And then they still ended the day on a 16-point average. But now this is by far their worst one. This is worse than the first game on the first day. That being said, they came back incredibly strong on game number 2. And now game number 2, Millie Circle. They're looting around the Ferry Pier area. They could be one of the first teams across. This could be a great one, or it could be a terrible one if they lose a player earlier here.
Talking about losing a player, we know that there's one team. Unfortunately, the one team I was rooting for the most, actually, having lived in the United States, and always had a sweet spot, obviously, for that region. But yeah, talking about losing a player, these guys, unfortunately, have done so plenty of times. This time around, I think they've gotten away with the scare. They'll pick up a second vehicle too, and they will stay alive as 4. But yeah, good stuff from the United States. They've turned it around as well. Not turned it around enough to, I think, grab a hold of these top 2 qualification spots. But having said that, they've turned it around enough to prove that they have been worthy so far in terms of playing and representing the United States. First blood has now been taken. It is Chile. Just when you think these guys have had a bad game, they're coming back, and they might even have the chance to go for another one. I think they're going to change this. And Meziev, we've called him. I gotta look back and check who that is. I don't think he's on the official roster. Yeah, so it must be... It's not Elite. It's not Miliven either. We've seen him yesterday. It's not Potro, obviously. So...
It is simple.
It is simple, indeed. Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. Actually, I think I said this... Yeah, I think an hour ago. I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Never mind me. So it is simple.
It's simple, or I mean, yeah, it probably is. But like we said before, right? Don't make it hard for everybody if you can avoid it. But I mean, in all fairness, there we have the Navy players we talked about between the games, Malkan and Molina. Miguel instantly locked out of the car as the bridge camp is in full effect. Joaco, the one who clutched the last one, already got himself a nice and early kill here, trying to hold down the bridge for Uruguay. But he's on a bit of an island here, Felix. I think they don't know. I think they're not aware of how weak this position is. But the man has nothing. The man has no meds. The man has no util. He has a level 1 helmet, and he's completely alone here. So this is something that feels scary, and you don't want to cross that bridge. But you don't know it, but you definitely could if you really, really wanted to.
I'm very confused by this. Because, like, realistic, what's your play here? You knock one player out of the car, you're going to get the flash? No. So they will probably stop driving. And even if you do get a knock, maybe even 2, you'll still have 2 players rotating right past you as you have the next fight going on, and that's disastrous. That should not have happened. Chile loses a player. 80s has been isolated here. There's another team close by. I think it is Brazil, and if they threat the kill feed now, they know Chile is not only a player down, but they're also fighting right in front of them, and Brazil could be breaching this. I would love to see that happen. That's direct competition that you need to take out. Now, I said this before. Chile, out of all the teams, maybe isn't the exact team to breach because they're just that far ahead, but then again, it's a 3-on-4. You should be able to take these consistently and not lose a player. So Brazil, I'm hoping they're going to play this aggressively, and I think they are as well. That's already, I think, low in the distance, trying to grab another angle. I think he is as well, but Diego is going to get that knock regardless, and it is Simple going down, and now it is just Chile with Podjo and maybe Elite, I think, somewhere. I don't think he's been the one that has been flashed. Somewhere left alive. And in a 4-on-2, you want to breach this even more than the situation that we've just seen in that 4-on-3. And I think they're going to try to do so. They have to be careful. It's not Elite, actually. He's been the first one to be flashed. It's Eureka in their back lines. But I think he's too far, and he hasn't got a vehicle.
Yeah, vehicles sometimes tough when you cross to Mili Island, and looking like Brazil, the way they're running at this. I'm not sure if they cross with vehicles or they cross with a boat, but they are definitely on a big run. Now Potro wants to get that res, wants to get somewhere safe, but won't be able to, as Mili knocked off the back of the car, and not a good time for the Chilean squad. They're getting hunted down by the direct rivals that are breathing down their necks. And this is what we love to see from Brazil. This is what we love to see from Law and the rest of the squad. Getting aggressive, taking fights where they can, abusing weaknesses where they can. And that's a Brazil that we will probably see at the World Esports Championship if they continue playing like this.
Yeah. I think it looks like it. Even though the total leaderboard situation didn't look like it after day 1, obviously, but then having dropped down to 3rd place, just based off of the names, it's always looked like it. And there's always these types of teams that sometimes they disappoint you a day, but they come back so damn strong you just forget all about it. And I feel like Brazil, yes, the first game hasn't been that just yet. It's been a consistent game, but not the big game that we were hoping for to kind of, bring them back into contention and making sure they actually stay there. But just based off of the names, as we said, it's too damn unlikely that these guys are just not gonna qualify, or at least have the highest probability. Just looking at the rosters, and with them bringing it back in the first game, as you said, not in the big fashion that maybe we were thinking they would, but in a good fashion nonetheless. It looks all the more likely right now. Sitting on 69 points, it's a good place to stand. 62 and 54 right below them.
Just also based on the fact that my prediction was that they'd be in the top 2 after this day, it seems pretty likely that they will be.
It's all down to your prediction, right?
Yeah, it pretty much is. It is the law.
Should have thought of that.
Should have thought of that. Suriname coming in. They've been an impressive squad in fights. They haven't been getting into late games as much as they would want to, but they've shown us a little bit of signs of brilliance every now and then. Now beaching the boat, instantly running to try and claim a few cars on the way and try and claim a little bit of space. I'm not sure. I don't think Ecuador has an idea just yet. I don't think they would have heard that boat. But they have to be really careful here. Darian and Dagas, last 2 up for that squad. They get walked up on. They suddenly have a lot of angry Suriname players, a lot of angry Max players in their buildings. Things might go dire very, very fast.
They gotta be careful. We saw some Max fans in the chat today as well. Kaimi, for example, gotta shout you guys out, as well as Constanza Malapo, hyping it up for Chile, which is always nice to see. These esports federation, these smaller nations as well, these lesser known nations in the PUBG esports scene, having that much support in the chat, it's gonna be amazing for these guys to see. Knowing that there's gonna be guys out there rooting for them. And it's gonna make a difference. It really, really does. But Chile, though, in this round, maybe it hasn't quite as much as they had probably hoped for. 2 players down. And yes, they're sitting at 99 points, but I think they wanted to cross this 100-point threshold a little bit earlier than when it's probably going to happen now. I think it might still happen in this round. Obviously, 11 teams, so getting a placing point is not too far off. But I think it was realistic to say that we expected that to happen in the first round too.
Yeah, especially with no pressure at all, right? It is always nice to play and
what an
easy play. As bit of an airdrop coming on in. Argentina, good position for them, lovely position for them. Two solid compounds in a very good spot of the zone, as they were looting here. They've been here from the very start. The game's pretty much just fallen into their lap. So has the last one though, Alex. Remember, even on Sanok, they were in a fantastic position, but just based on circle position in phase 1 and 2, and it wasn't really paying off for them at all. They weren't really able to get anything going. So we'll see what they are able to pull off this time. Brazil, on the other hand, more a team that has been able to take things into their own hand.
Are you kidding me? How many teams are still outside the phase? What is the phase 2?
Half of the server.
half the server is outside the current safe zone. Are you kidding me? I can understand it from a strategic point of view if it were 16 teams, but 11 teams. I mean, get in there. It's military base. Yes, you want to dodge all these types of teams camping the bridge. You want to dodge Chile,
there was a dude on the right bridge with a Scar L, in a level 1 helmet.
That dude was
you can't cross that bridge, man. There was a guy there.
It wasn't just any guy. It was Jaoko as well. It's literally having nothing in his inventory but an M4, just there to kind of cause havoc. I mean, looking back at this, what kind of Agent of Chaos play is that? Even if you take anyone down, realistically, what are you going to do? That's such a troll play, by the way. It's not even a troll play, actually. I think it's a
nobody crossed that bridge ever since.
Yeah,
I think
nobody
has been crossing that bridge.
Who was trying to cross it?
It's literally the team that's in Milta right now. It's Colombia. They're still in the blue.
That's nuts, Juaco. He's done this like 10 minutes ago, and still no one's crossed it. Just the one player with one M4, nothing else, running towards the bridge and hindering a full 4-man team of crossing. 10 minutes later, Joker, he's the MVP of this round already.
And he's
literally just clutched the last round.
That too, but he's also all the way across the map. He's literally in the southwest corner of the circle right now, and in the northeast, Colombia is.
What an agent of chaos!
Yeah, crazy.
Juaco, by the way, I'm sorry, Juaco. Yeah. I keep on saying Juaca, but it's Juaco, obviously.
Juaco or something. I'm not
Juaco.
Sure.
Maybe it's Juaco actually. Yeah.
It's people usually call if you're Joaquin is a pretty common name, so maybe that's where it comes from. We'll see.
Let me look into my Wikipedia.
We'll talk to him when he qualifies to the World Esports Cup after bridge camping 3 games in a row.
Unfortunately, he does not have his name spelled out in the Wikipedia, so Joaco. But it's kind of obvious that his name is Joaquin. I don't even know at this point.
Yeah.
Cheetah's going to let the first... Look, this is how you actually play it normally. Unless you just want to, hinder teams of crossing. You let the first car cross, and then you get a double spray down. That's Patro. The MVP for me.
Oh my god, he might get the
Yes, and he might get the full form, and he gets another knock. His teammates are helping out. As Panama is in all sorts of trouble, but he gets flushed up by Guatemala. Are you kidding me? This is a 3-way fight. And no one is going to be able to cross that bridge by the looks of it, at least not cleanly. With Guatemala having the best of chances, but they will have to cross Panama now as well. These guys will be back up as a 2-man.
I mean, he's going to get 1 res here, but they're not going to get the other 2. I'm not sure how much Alex knows, but I think he's seen at least 1 knock here that he's going to instantly flush. If he knows there's a second, that'd be awesome, but probably doesn't have that information perfectly. Fishy Pan, though, is flushing the second one, so they do know. And Guatemala picks up a nice and easy 2 defeats there. Nice and easy 2 elims. Makes their way across the bridge. Now, Alex can wait for the rest of the squad. They can try and get here close together. He's spotted Winter on the top. Damage is coming on in. They have to pull up. They have to fight this, but they're not wasting any time. Guatemala is going the hell in, Felix.
Yeah, and Guatemala wants to take these frags, and I can understand why. It's the perfect fight to do. Just gotta make sure I'm not losing anyone. And that night might be perfect. The Tony goes down all the way, and I think it might just stand strong with the way that nade is thrown, but the second one is going to hit. Now Norgi has to be careful as well. Next player is rotating on by, but he's going way too far. Do they not want to fight this? I'm really confused right now. They should know this is a 2-man only. So taking down Panama wouldn't only secure them to stay alive as a 4-man, but it would also secure them 2 kill points, potentially get really close to a placement point. A little bit ahead there. But yeah, they're slowing things down again. Question only is, can they get Pan back up? It doesn't look like it right now. But Panama's also slowing things down.
Yeah, and Alex has gotten himself a really good angle here. He's gone far, but he decided to go off the bridge to get an angle from the side. The absolute madman has been taken out, by the way. Huaco knocked in the kill feed. Big news for the rest of the lobby. The East Bridge is now free. And Alex has been able to hold off here for his squad, actually getting all the reses. And what is that? New team coming on through. Bye-bye. Ring ding. Legend gets taken out. Emperador actually gets taken out as well. It's a double spray down. What?
Wow.
I thought they were cruising on through, but Alex just says no.
And Alex, what a pickup. Might have just secured his team a complete wipe. Because look at this. No, they really weren't hindered at getting the reses. But now Winter comes back out of nowhere. Takes down Norgi. As we have United States on the meanwhile fighting as well. Alex, he needs to do more though. That was not enough. He has a 1-1-1-1, but they will do it. Just not cleanly. Unfortunately, Norgi has been taken down on the meanwhile, but Dominican Republic, that is not enough. That is unfortunately not enough. And Panama, I think I went a little bit ahead of time there actually. Panama is still alive somehow. They still stand strong. Tony though, from the back lines, I think he must have jumped down. Maybe he was on the stairs, jumped up on the stairs, but he will take down one and the second play as well. Panama eliminated as well, right after the Dominican Republic. And unfortunately, for the overall leaderboard situation, this changes a lot with Dominican Republic going out that early. And man, just for the sake of suspense, I would have loved them. For them to have a good game in this one as well.
Maybe Uruguay is the one picking up the slack, but they're not looking pretty either. We see them in that one story, just proning it out, trying to survive for now. Probably not keeping a whole lot of cars around that either. Probably not keeping a whole lot of their tires, and not really looking all that great. Guatemala loses another one to the Blaze Zone. Not looking good for the catch-up teams. Maybe Colombia is finally able to cross the bridge. I think they were trying to camp. If you remember earlier, they were in the Milta area trying to camp USA, but now Colombia's 3 alive, USA's 4 alive. So I'm not sure what went down on the Eastern Bridge, as we still have Argentina dead center compounds, and Uruguay, like we said, not in the best spot here, Felix.
Not in the best of spots indeed. Tough circle now. Doesn't really favor too many teams. Uruguay, yes, deep center, but like, how do you play out of this shack if it shifts west, or if it shifts east or south or north? It's still going to be really, really troublesome for Uruguay to make any kind of move out of it, and especially since it's not only 4 players there, but you can't really save any vehicles, right? Argentina's to your north, United States is to your south. Realistically, you can't have any safe spots for your vehicle in that one. And wow, look at this with one Molotov. Might even be down a player sooner than you expect. This fight doesn't need to happen, but they still throw in Molotov in there. And it actually hit the target as well. One more nade, I think, has now been thrown in. Didn't catch anyone. The smoke has been deployed now from Uruguay. And yeah, they need to be careful. If they want to add to the success that they literally just had last game, then more's going to be needed, especially since the Agent of Chaos has been taken out and flushed by the opposing team.
Dagas actually got knocked for this molly as well. He runs up for the molly, he gets a knock with it, but he actually does get knocked and probably never rezzed here anymore. So there's the flush coming in for the United States, and it's a second one for Siete, picking up the second player. So yes, he gets a knock, but in the end doesn't pay off at all, and they're going to be a little bit upset about that, because they were still in a really reasonable position here, much better position than some other teams in the lobby to play and survive as a 2-man here. So not really what you want to see if you are the opposing squad, but good news for Uruguay, because it's a much needed breath of relief, and it's a chance for them to maybe at some point at least get out of that little one story and start making moves towards the rest of the game.
I really like how the United States has played this up until this point. With how slow and methodical they've played this, it looks all the more likely that they're going to be rewarded now with a late-stage finish, something that they haven't had too much of. It's always been the problem. We talked about this yesterday, that they just cannot really seem to get all 4 players up phase 6 onwards. This might be one of these instances. So, who knows? Maybe we're seeing a different United States today. They've also, same as yesterday, secured a frag early now. We said one of the few teams, together with Chile and Argentina, that has never had a 0-point round. They've always gotten a kill point, at the very least. But we also said that it's only a small indicator of how great that day really was, because placement points, in the meanwhile, they've really struggled with it, and
yeah,
that obviously put them in that really, really tough spot on the overall leaderboard. A spot that, unfortunately, looks really, really unlikely in terms of qualification.
Tough times, but nothing's over until it's over. Another knock comes on in. This time it's Suriname stepping up towards the US. We said they had a good spot. They both have fightable spots here, though. This is playable for Suriname for sure, coming out of the compound. It's a little tricky coming in with third parties from the north, but they should have some space as well. If you look at the minimap, there's one player off to the south here. I think that's Trent. And if he steps up at the right time and he finds the right angle, he can do so much damage to the US-American squad. Now the peak comes on over for Pindaboy. A bit of damage comes on out. Maybe attracts a bit of util as well. And maybe buys enough time for Trent to do great things here from the side. Because if they do win this fight, if any of these nades connect as well, that's a beautiful one onto Pika. Barely drives out of it. If they get the opening here, Suriname, they can probably close this out. And they can probably close out that part of the map to actually play a really good game from here.
Yeah. They have a really good spot now to do something with it. And edge up towards that northwest of the half now for Brazil. And to be picked up too. Could make things easier. We are looking at potentially more long-range fights now. Especially since there's only 1, maybe 2 actual hardcover spots inside. As the United States still having a bit of trouble here by the looks of it. Maybe Mello can potentially grab one more frag. They have to be careful with third-partying potential from, obviously, Brazil, but they will be able to do it quite well. And yeah, you can see Mustafa has to be careful. And there he goes. Lorizin is able to take him down. That is the one spot where I think the United States has potentially just given it away a tiny bit. But I can't really blame them either. I think the way they tried to surround Meta there in the 1v2 was quite perfect. And yeah, the sideline's just too damn good for Brazil. But yeah, up until this point, I'm really, really impressed by the United States. Up until this point, a really clean game.
Yeah, really good fight for them as well. Taking out Suriname back-to-back in 2 games now. Not an easy team to kill either. They've been good in fights. Now, Argentina is actually completely faltering, completely folding, and completely getting swept aside by Colombia. That's big news as well for a team like Colombia that's been just trying to play catch-up the whole time, the whole day. Now, getting themselves a nice fight. 3 players up. Remember, they were losing 1 player on that bridge camp. They've been 3 ever since. But they sweep aside Argentina, they keep the eastern side for themselves, and now they can start making moves. With the rest of the lobby so busy with each other, there's a chance for Colombia here to start making moves towards that Uruguay shack and maybe even clear it out if they do have the util for it.
Looking into the distance, looking into the future especially. This is going to get a really tough... Yeah, this is going to get really, really tough, actually, for anyone outside of Brazil and Uruguay, in terms of staying alive until the next phase. Look where the United States is positioned. Like, they'll be cleaned out by Brazil. And I think the same can be said about Colombia on the other side. They shouldn't have a say in this round. And the fact is also that we said this was Brazil's round. And that's because, look at the sidelines. Yeah, Uruguay has 1 tiny ridge line, but if they don't get the shift now, and yes, we've seen endings down there, but they are less likely, I want to say, in comparison to like an open field finish, somewhere between them and Brazil, then it's going to get really tough. Like, they will need to rotate out of this house. They have 1 ridgeline towards the west of the house. Apart from that, it's all open field. Brazil has got so much more playing room after the United States has been cleared out, right? So many trees up towards the southern side, high ground obviously as well. Combine that with the individual strength. So Brazil, with them obviously needing this as well, I think the big favorites to take this home.
Absolutely. And I would love to see them now figure out a way to clear out that US-American player, right? And actually go take all that space for themselves, take control of the game from here, because they've reset, they've got all the information they need, they've got all the space they need. If they kill this player before the circle shifts, that'd be awesome. And would have, in case of a really bad shift, would have probably bought them the time they needed to play a good game. Now, the shift is good for them. The shift is very kind. And they even have an airdrop on their side of the ridgeline towards the house later, and they will just have to wait. So waiting it out has been beneficial for them in this case, and should be an easy cruising path to the top 2 and potentially the win from there.
One shot's being taken by Colombia now. But nothing connecting. And now that push comes in. Brazil is trying to take down the United States. Pika has no chance. He tried to play it smart. He tried to not make a move. He tried to hide and play inside. But unfortunately, that only works in the movies. Brazil will be able to find him. And now that move comes in from Colombia as well. This is perfect timing. They know Brazil is fighting, so they'll be heavily focused on that western side. Wow, have they just found themselves ridgeline? That is massive. What a play coming out from Colombia. I love the timing. I love the strategy behind it. And that means we might still have 3 countries. I didn't expect this. Staying alive in Phase 7. I honestly got to say, I didn't expect Colombia finding a way in. Uruguay couldn't really do anything about this either. I'm surprised they couldn't. They should have had clear sightlines on these 2 players rotating in.
I think they left one player behind to hold for the first 2, but then that last player should usually be taken out because he has nobody to hold for him. But they managed to slip on through there, and that goes back to what I was talking about, is if Brazil had moved onto the solo a little bit earlier, maybe they would have been taking control of this already and wouldn't have let Colombia slip on in. Now they actually have a fighting chance. You know, it's not great what Colombia is controlling, but it might be enough to just keep Brazil on their toes for quite a while here. If they have somebody peeking and players then pulling up close below, this is an actual real threat, depending on where the zone shifts. So they've now have given themselves a bit more of a fighting chance than they maybe had a circle ago. We have one more zone shifting on in 15 seconds, and it's very likely that this zone is the end of Colombia, the way they're set up here. But you know, we've seen stranger things. This can shift pretty far north, or maybe it shifts just really far west and eliminates one of the teams in this southern side. I say that. Doesn't really eliminate anyone, but I feel like this makes Colombia move just enough that they can't use their ridgeline anymore, and that's probably where we see them go out towards this game.
Colombia is going to be the first team to potentially have to make a move. There's a scoop crossfire though, little boy has his teammates driving down, so they need to cover this angle, and they did. And this is what I talked about, right? There's very limited amounts of space Uruguay could potentially take, but this is a massive neck. A Leon Kid takes down Diego. This is a 1-on-1 trade, but matter of fact, this kind of works out in favor of Uruguay, because no one is really there to pick up a fallen player for Brazil, and now Colombia is making a move as well. This could turn out to be a 2v2v2. A matter of seconds now, depending on who these frags all the frags will be picked up, but it looks like the little boy is actually going to be able to take down not only 1, but I think 2 players from Colombia, even though that second one was knocked by the explosion. And now Uruguay is in control of this. They want to deny that rest. This is a massive nade. What's a nade against Diego? What is that? Alien Kid takes him down. This isn't only a knock, it's a flush off of the knock that they've gotten earlier. So they're in control of this one. That means it is down to a 3-3.
Oh, Siete made such a big move getting up close below. If you could have just survived a little bit longer, that would have been massive for Uruguay. Could have maybe even taken them towards the back-to-back. Now, 2 versus 3 versus 1, essentially. That Colombian player never getting rest back on his feet. And we're going to be very shortly going to a 2 versus 3, Brazil versus Uruguay. They need a little bit more space. They need more angles here. They're pinched into this tiny little house, Felix. And they have this tiny window to peek out. That little boy is just continuously holding down. So Uruguay need an opening. Colombia needs a miracle. And then Brazil just has to hold their ground and has to stay alive in this. No vest, I think, for Cardex, if I'm seeing that correctly. Almost no helmet left either. So they're battered, they're bruised. But if they make it out of the house, if they get close below these players, if they get close below Law, there's a chance they pull this off.
There is a chance. Nate might hinder that chances. But yeah, little boy is knocked, and that's gonna bring the advantage back to Uruguay. I've talked about this with the angles they have. There might have a chance of this one. Little boy, excuse me, yeah, little boy's actually been taken down by the blue zone now. It is actually Lorenzen grabbing that first frag, and he's gonna take the second one as well. It's all down Colombia now. Never say in this one, but it's only one player. We've talked about this, Malkin, the last standing player for Colombia. He's got one hell of a task in front of him, but I think he might just have a tiny bit of blue zone advantage depending on how far that tree is from the circle center. He's moved up close towards the next tree in the meanwhile. But yeah, you can see right here in that split view. I don't think it's gonna be enough. He needs to have some nutty shots off of the back of that smoke. He moves in deeper. He's got one more smoke right in front of him. Is it gonna be enough? As the nades are raining in.
50 damage nade on the first one. There's a second one coming as well. It goes a little far, but now he's punched into the smokes. He has given up a whole lot of his visibility. I'm not sure if he knows where Lorenzen is. He's cooking a nade. That might be the last chance he has. It goes far. Law on the ground is surely taking him out here, but he trades it out. He turns it around. Has no way, has no right to win that fight. Lorenzen has the cover now, but first it can come through, and if he gets it off in the smoke, he has a good fighting chance. The tree versus the cover, Felix. This is crazy stuff. If he does it, there's no way Colombia wins this.
Yes, but I think he's got the advantage. I don't think that air drop is any closer to the circle than that tree. I think it's just a tiny bit of advantage on Malkin, but gonna have to wait and see. That air drop now is gonna be looted by Lorenzen. It might be the difference. It might be the difference now in who wins this. He has not picked up the weapon that's inside. We can only assume it's been the MK in this instance, but he sticks with the shotgun. I think both players will have to move at almost the exact same time. Level 3 gear, Lorenzen. Now Malkin is making the move. S12K in hands against S12K. It's the 1-on-1 with the shotgun. First shot's going against Brazil.
Oh, he does it.
He's gonna be able to take it. Colombia, are you kidding me? They do the opposite. They do the unthinkable. And just when they needed it, the total leaderboard will once again be taken upside down. What a performance. 16 points being secured. And honestly, out of all these three teams left standing, I thought they surely were the ones to go out first.
What is that? They lose a player so early on that eastern bridge, and I said, you know, they need a miracle to stay alive in this, but the miracle comes out with the knock that comes out
Unbelievable.
Of Uruguay, and it all snowballs.
Wow.
Oh my god, that is mental. That was not a game that they were supposed to take away at all. That was not a game they were supposed to have a chance in. Brazil should have taken this one home, and I mean, he picked up 3 gear off the drop, and then he had more space in the circle as well, but the shotgun just comes out, and somehow he steals that one away. No business winning that. No business winning that. But I said after the first game, right, I said this is such a rough start for Colombia. I don't know if they can do it after starting off so rough and dying so quickly. That was a big one. That was a massive game for them.
Yeah. That was, I think, maybe even a little bit more than massive. That was needed and massive at the same time. What a performance coming out from these guys. And yeah, started off with that Molotov across the street. It also started off with the United States here being third party. It's losing a player that makes it very easy for Brazil to take the rest of them. But yeah, start of the show, it's been Colombia. It's not been Colombia from start to finish, but it's been Colombia... At least from mid-game to finish, I guess you could say, from
that
mid
move
to late game to finish.
Was just so huge.
Yeah, and
getting
the timing about it.
Across was so huge. Yeah, like the timing and the execution, the fact that they actually get 3 players across there is massive, and it's something that nobody expected, right? We expected them to go out, maybe breach Uruguay to try and play for second place.
Yeah,
and they play for the win, and Malcolm actually does it, like the absolute madman that he is. How
imagine he doesn't have an. I don't think he wins this if he doesn't have an extended on the S12K.
Yeah.
Also, he puts the silence in the S12K. What kind of disrespect is that? Stop it. Malkin, stop it. What kind of disrespect is that? Puts the silencer on the S12K. He had no business. We were talking about business earlier. He had no business having that silencer on there, but he still does it. Who even picks up a silencer? What kind of player does that? Well, we have the answer. Malkin does it, and he wins it in style too. Ultimate disrespect here in match number 8. Just a tiny one, actually. I'm saying ultimate. It's just a really tiny one. But he's getting additional style points from me, even though they will not be taken into consideration when it comes to the overall leaderboard. Additional style points from me. Finishes up with the silencer and the extended map on the S12K. And with that, they will do a big jump on the overall leaderboard. How big? We're going to see in a second.
Yeah.
As we head back to some of these statistics, it's a different country in every single category. We haven't seen that yet, but the one player that has gotten the most eliminations has been Alex from Uruguay. Good on him. 18 points have been secured as Colombia takes home the chicken dinner. Brazil, though, not making things any easier. And slowly but surely catching Chile there with another 14 points difference being caught up on the overall leaderboard here, with Chile taking 2 and Brazil taking 16.
Chile 2, Argentina 3, Brazil 16. That's a big shift on that top side of the scoreboard.
Yeah.
So as crazy as that clutch was, the really well played, solid, collected, calm game from Brazil is kind of the bigger move when you look at the scoreboard and you look at how many games we have left. But that's lovely stuff, regardless, from Colombia. Quick fun fact, player with the most healing done, Colombia, because they were sitting in the blue for 2 zones after they were getting bridge camped by Huaco on his lonesome. So we were laughing about how crazy their early game was. We were sort of memeing about it because it was so weird and wonderful. And then they just end up clutching it out in the end. And that doesn't get more PUBG than that at all.
What a performance. Colombia. Pulling deep. I think as deep as it gets to win this round. 8 eliminations. They haven't quite... Look, it's kind of sad at the same time. Yes, they win it, but also it's sad that nothing changes too drastically in the overall leaderboard just because of how well Brazil performed. But having said that, I think they're going to be really close to Argentina at the very least. And I want to see the overall standings now. Yeah, look at this. 54 to 65. Uruguay actually now also getting into the realm of things. We have more contenders now than I expected.
Tie.
But...
Triple tie for 4th place, Felix.
Yeah, triple tie, but take a look at Brazil. 84 points. Yeah. It's still almost 20 points different to Argentina, and then it's 30 points for Colombia. So Colombia, Uruguay, Dominican Republic, they will all need at least 2 dinners now to get close to Brazil.
Yeah, it's Argentina has really been dropping the ball today. 3 and 1 point in these 2 games, while Brazil was getting about 25 across the 2 of them. I think so. They've really been caught out and they've really been caught sleeping, even though the clutch comes out there in the end from Malcolm and denies Brazil 5 points right there and then, right? A kill point and 4 placements. It's still enough for them to just create a massive gap. And like we said, right, 4 more matches. We're going for 2 more Erangels and 2 more Miramars. And that's going to be some chances to catch up, and there's going to be some chances to close that gap. But they're going to be running out very quickly now. And you're going to be, when you need 2 big games to catch up and you only have 4 chances, they run out very, very quickly. And we're going to need to see crazy things if Brazil doesn't drop the ball here.
Yeah, Malcolm obviously being the match MVP there, having taken that, finishing 1v1, not only the 1v2 actually, seriously, not only the 1v1, but the 1v2 as well. I think we kind of just forgot that.
Kind of a 1v3 in some sense, because he gets Little Boy knocked as well.
Right? Arguably.
He knocks Little Boy while Brazil is still fighting the last Uruguayan player, and actually completely opens that game up for himself.
Must feel good. Must feel very, very good for Malcolm to put a performance like this. Ladies and gentlemen, if the comeback dream for any of these teams, we're talking Uruguay, we're talking Colombia, and so on and so forth, Dominican Republic, obviously, and maybe even Argentina now, with how hard, to put in your words, they've dropped the ball, is going to be possible. We'll find out in the next 4 games. Match number 3 is about to start, but we're heading into a quick break before we head into that match, as we are changing maps very, very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back.